Welcome, fellas. 2023, the Sports Dribble podcast, sponsored by, or powered by even, Sports Rewind Digital. Fellas, how are we?
Good,
Good,
mate.
mate. What's going
Happy New
on?
Year to
Yeah, happy New
everyone.
Year to you guys. Mate,
Hope this one's better than last.
yeah, mate. Off to a good start. How about you guys?
It's another day above the ground.
That's it.
Anytime you have that's a win.
You beauty.
The sun was shining, mate. That's all that matters today.
Mate, we caught up last week and
Hmm.
had a couple of beers and some pizza and opened some baseball cards, and you blokes killed it. I think I got a decent rookie card out of the box.
That's about it, though. You got nothing.
Yeah, got nothing as per usual. What
It's a bit of
about
fun.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun. What about sports over the holidays, fellas? Anything going on?
Well, it's been quiet. I'm just packing the daughter now. She's off to Singleton for a week, playing in an under-15s rep carnival, so representing Central Coast up in
Yep.
good old Singleton for a week.
You beauty.
I'm sure I'll
Stay away, Joshy Judge.
probably a bit different to the tours we used to do up to Singleton. So no, that'll be the first sort of sport that's been on. The missus played first grade cricket last week. The women all had a sort of like a gala day up at Tuggerah there on all the turf wickets
Yep.
in terrible conditions, but it was nice to see. Other than that, it's just been watching sport and drinking. So nothing different.
Yeah, plenty of sport. What about you, Randall?
Same, mate. I've just been, as you know, laying on the lounge, not getting around much, and yeah, watching the cricket. That's
You
it
had
for
a
me.
you had a bit of spicy cough, mate.
I did Boxing Day special. Woke up very unwell, and yeah, knocked me around for a week.
I reckon it was probably just a 5-day hangover.
Could have been. It was a fairly eventful Christmas Eve at the pub with all the usuals. So fortunately, yeah, they all got away scot free from it though. Yeah, the family and I were knocked around, so we had sort of a week there where we really didn't do much.
Fair enough.
What about
Fair
yourself, mate?
Yeah, mate, the kids have been having a blast. We've been going to the beach most of the time and been swimming. Kids are actually up at Foster or up at their sister's place at the moment, and they've been at Foster and Seals Rocks and out on the paddleboard and in the ocean all the time. So they're loving it. I'm just down
So
here
you're
at
flying
work.
solo.
Yeah, maybe a couple of these tonight. I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's kick off 2023 with some tidbits. Now, I know we've had a bit of a run with some good tidbits. Randall, what have you got for us, mate?
Mate, talking about some NFL, the season's all wrapped up today, as we know. Defending champs, the LA Rams, have officially lost the most games as a defending team in NFL history. They had 11 losses this year as defending champs. That is absolutely terrible.
It is.
That is shocking to get. Like normally teams, yeah, like they often go bad, but that is saying something. Normally you have a couple of good year run, but yeah,
It's not like they lost their whole team.
no, that's right.
Or
The roster
anything.
wasn't that much different.
No, not at all.
No.
Well, it looks like yeah, their season's over.
They're done.
They going on for sure. About you, Davo, what do you got for us?
I got two.
Yep.
One on the cricket, on Marnus. We all
Yep.
love Marnus. He's now, or I think it was even before this series, he is the batsman with the most dropped catches off his batting in the history of cricket, in Test cricket. So talk about riding your luck. Like, not sure the exact number. I know it's 14 or more, but drop catches from him. So he's doing well in that department.
Unreal.
So odd little stat. And then
Yep.
the other one was on Big Mark Maguire. From 1994 until the end of his playing career in 2001, Big Mac hit 354 home runs and had 353 singles.
Wow.
So that's quite quite an effort that to have one more home run than singles.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
While we're talking about that era, did you see Jose Canseco calling out Aaron Judge?
Yeah. A home run derby for softball or something.
Yeah. Randall wouldn't know because he doesn't answer my Instagram messages.
I don't get on there very much. So when I do, it's in bulk.
Yeah. You get on and review about 50 that we've sent.
Pretty much.
Mind you, in saying about Canseco, he still hit one of the biggest home runs ever at Skydome. If you get the chance just to YouTube that, was him and Maguire. I think they're like fifth deck there at left field in Toronto. So that's worth checking out. Guy's a dick, but gee, could hit a baseball.
Could score a header too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely can head one over the crossbar.
Absolutely. I got an NRL one for you from the Broncos. Well, Denning Camp was so concussed after a game, he rang his ex-girlfriend and told her he'll be home soon and can't wait to see her. She told him to F off, and he had a new girlfriend at the time who he didn't tell, as he feared she would not believe the effect of his concussion. That's an absolute gem, isn't it?
Love footy players.
It just shows the old effect of concussion, doesn't it? That you know,
does.
Difference today.
I got one more for you. Jim Abbott was born without a right hand, and most people, it's a severe disability. In September 1993, Jim did the impossible and threw a no-hitter for the Yankees against Cleveland. A true warrior. Mate,
unreal.
I loved watching him as a kid. It was always, real good value. But yeah, that's just crazy, isn't it?
It was so good the way he used to be able to sort of just have the glove on his bad hand, throw the ball, then throw the glove back on. But somehow, as soon as the ball came back into his glove, he did this bloody trick or whatever. Next thing you know, ball's in this hand, he's throwing, and the glove's there. It's like had it down pat, and good on him. He had a good career too, and topped it off with that no hitter.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
For sure.
All right, fellas.
I do have one more while we're at it.
Go.
Talking about, my idol, Cal Ripken Jr.
Never heard of him.
As we all know, he was called the Iron Man with his consecutive game streak. Don Mattingly and Kirby Puckett played their entire MLB careers during Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive game streak.
That's unreal, isn't it?
Two absolute legends of the game. And their careers lasted only part of his consecutive game streak.
Iron Man, indeed.
Not wrong.
Fellas, I'm just bringing in our guest. Now, our guest tonight is Shaun from Cronulla Baseball. How you going, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. How you going?
Yeah,
Hey,
good.
Shaun.
Hey, boys.
Good to have you on, mate. Now, we haven't talked any state league at all this year, so it'd be good to get your insight on how Cronulla's doing and also a little bit about Sydney Major League this year. Now, you've got a pretty young team, haven't you?
Yeah, we do. Average age is probably about 21. That was part of the, the allure for me to go there in some respects. Once Marlins obviously folded, there was not a lot of options out there in terms of coaching for me. And Cav reached out and said, "Hey, mate, do you want to come out and be a head coach? Because I'm sick of sleeping in the dugout. I want to go outside and sleep and have my few drinks out there." So, it was appealing. And first day was a bit daunting when I got down there. Obviously, new club, that sort of stuff. But warming to it now, it's really good. We've got 21. About 21 under 18 players, sort of thing, or thereabouts. So it's a good challenge, but we're finding our feet, but we're starting to improve as the season's gone on, which has been really good fun.
Yep. Now we had Cambo on earlier on in the year. He was talking about the core of young blokes, a few older blokes as well. Pretty important to have those sort of older blokes around, even if they're not there all the time. Great to have them in the team. What sort of impression are they, I guess, forming for the younger kids?
I looked at, I mean, Cambo, I mean, it's unspoken about how good Cambo is in terms of what he does in terms of being a leader. And he's, I mean, you guys have all worked with him, played with him, and seen what he does in action. He's great around the clubhouse and when he's there. Obviously, at the moment, we don't see him as much as we'd like to with his Canberra commitments. But he's when he's there, it's great. It's actually when him and Alex Howard there, it's really good because they kind of bounce off each other. Howie's a really good guy to have around too. He's really passionate about what he does and about obviously inspiring young guys to kind of get the opportunities or get to where he's been at. So it's really good having those two guys around. We've also got a couple of American imports who are good value. They really have taken a lot of the coaching role as well in terms of on-field stuff. We've got 4 or 5 really good experienced guys in first grade, which has been great. We just had all the college guys come back and jump on board and play 4 or 5 games with us. So Blake Cavill played. He was off the Richter in terms of his hitting. He was a really big asset for us. And we had Brad Griff play, a few of the other guys. So it's been really good to have those guys come back and just share their knowledge and work with some of our young guys. We're really lacking some pitching. It's a bit deja vu for Marlins, I think, Dave, as you remember, especially when Hutto retired and stopped throwing his 100 and something pitches for us. It's one of our challenges has been pitching, but having those guys around is certainly helping the young guys feel that they can belong in first grade.
Yeah,
I'm sure you got Buff down there, haven't you?
Is
he classed as one of these sort of veterans that they all look up to? But it is Buff after all, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Buff. He's been pretty good too. He's a good team guy, Buff. He'll turn up and he'll fit where he needs to fit. He doesn't like to DH much, but unfortunately, sometimes when we have our best team there, that's sort of where he fits. But he's found a way. He's found a way this year to really help with some big crucial hits for us in first grade. I know last year he was their driving force on the mound. This year he's been a bit sore, so we haven't really got to use him much on the mound. He's thrown a couple of innings here and there that helped us out a little bit, but he's certainly not his dominating self on the mound, which he has been over the last few years. But offensively, he certainly he's one of those fun enigmas. Buffalo. He just finds a way to get things done when you don't expect him to. Like he'll come up with a really good play, or he'll get a hit when he needs to. He made some fantastic plays against Ryan that kind of kept us in the game defensively at third base when we beat them down there. And he's just like the last few weeks he's been working really hard on his hitting. He had struggled early in the year, but I said he got some crucial hits late in the season when we were missing some guys. And but he just does what he does, and he's a good. He's not just so much a lead like Cambo and those guys, but he's definitely his work ethic is beyond reproach when he's there, and he gives you everything he's got. So he's good value to have around, that's for sure.
That's right.
I'm actually surprised he turns up if Cambo's not there.
Yeah,
he does hang out of his arse,
This is true too. I did question the first time Campbell wasn't there when the Buff was going to come, but no, he's been great.
Has Normo been turned up? Because if Normo turns up, then Buff will probably follow him too. So it's one or the other.
No, Normo, unfortunately. No. So Buff's becoming a bit more independent these days. He's getting older now, I guess. So he's finding a way to do things by himself. So, but no, he's been great. He's a really good team guy, and he's great to have around the club because he can play in multiple positions. You can throw him in the outfield, and he'll get out there and do it, and play him at third base, first base, and he's pretty valuable. And I know last year, Cav raved about how good he was in terms of, he was his favourite player because he just came up with a lot of things in crucial situations. And the same for us this year. So the last game he had to play second grade because we just had all the college guys back, and he wasn't real happy about it in terms of, which is a good indication of Buff because he wants to compete. But he played second grade, had a good day, and then sat around on the first grade bench and then came in late in the game. So it just shows what sort of guy he is and what character he has, and the fact he just still wants to compete at the highest level. Unfortunately, him and a handful of others are the only ones that want to keep competing at the highest level, and I commend him for that from the Central Coast, that's for sure.
And how is the standard these days down there? It's like who are the strong teams, who are the weak teams? Like, as you say, we haven't talked much Sydney Major League, so who's doing well, who's sort of got some work to do? Like, we know what happened with Marlins, and that's probably another half hour, an hour if we have it. But who's looking the goods down there?
It's a good question, Dave. The standard kind of, I don't know, fluctuates a little bit. Over the last few years, I've seen it sort of drop a little bit, then get up a little bit. Obviously, around the ABL time, it certainly evens the competition out a little bit because lot of the clubs like Blacktown, for example, they just dominate early in the season with all their pitching because, a lot of the guys that they have on their roster from the ABL. So, it's really tough to score runs against them when they're at full strength. But, the ABL certainly, I think, dilutes the competition, the standard of the competition. And honestly, to be honest with you, I think having 4 grades still dilutes the competition. I think there's just not enough players anymore to sustain having 4 grades at each club if we really want to talk about lifting the bar of the competition. And I've spoken to Pops and a few other guys from other clubs, and they sort of kind of agree that at some point we have to dilute the number of players if we really want to have the sustainable competition that we want, that we should be having as a state league. It should be the pinnacle. Unfortunately, sometimes, like some games this year have been really high class. When we play in Blacktown, you got Josh Geyer and Grattan, those guys rolling out, and then we had Howe and Campbell and all those guys rolling in. It's great baseball. But there's we miss Howie 3 or 4 games a year because he's working with the Fireys, or Cambo's off with Canberra duty. So the standard kind of just roller coasters a little bit. I don't think it's probably as strong as it may have used to be consistently, especially the lower grades. But first grade is still pretty competitive and still pretty good. At the moment, MacArthur is sort of shining at the moment in first grade, and it's kind of interesting. I didn't think they'd perform quite as well this year as they have in the past. Jace retired, and I thought that might sort of just stagnate their progress a little bit. Mitchell also did a really good job down there this year, and they're still right up there. And like they're not later with a whole bunch of like ABL guys or anything like that, but they've got a bunch of young, really good young guys. They've got some good arms, and they've got a little bit of hitting, and they compete really well. You just never. You can never lay thinking you've beat them because they're always at you.
Yep.
We got them this Saturday night actually in a make-up game, and we're both going to be struggling for numbers, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how we go with that game. And we're vying. We're in the mix for that 4th spot at the moment. So it's a big game against them this Saturday. So if we can get that, we give ourselves a shot still to kind of compete in those last few rounds, to give ourselves a shot to make the top 4. If we do that, I think we're going to be right in, especially with Wilco back on the mound for us and all those boys back. But so MacArthur coming first. I think Borco and Blacktown are kind of flip-flopping between second and third. And Ride's
always been the case with them.
Always been the case. And Borco's probably got the club that's probably the most. But as a club, they're not probably as good as they've been in the last few years. Their second, third grade 18s, their 18s are undefeated. I think have lost 1 game. But their second and third certainly aren't the powerhouse they've been in the past. But their first grade certainly is. They've got plenty of pitching. They've got Oxspring and a few other guys, but they've got like really good hitting too. But so Blacktown, Borco, MacArthur, and then Ride, Manly, and us are all kind of vying for that last spot. I think Ride's kind of been a bit inconsistent, but they've found a way to find themselves in the top 4. I think they're actually third at the moment. They won a few games late, and they've been one of those guys that's that benefits around this time too, because they haven't lost as many guys to the national as some of the other clubs. So, but it's sort of the same sort of clubs, I guess, are always around there. But Manly surprised. They could be really good or really bad. We touched them up in one game, and they touched us up in another one. So it's sort of one of those. It's just depends on who's pitching on the day and who you've got. I mean, we're rolling out a really young kid who's just first year in grey, second year under 18, lefty from Illawarra, who's done a really good job for us. But he's still learning the pitch, and so some days he's really good, and the next day he could be really bad. So it depends on what you get with him. But look, overall, I think the standing's not bad, and it's fun. It's fun to be around the first grade competition because you just watch a lot of young kids. There's a lot more young kids playing first grade at the moment, just because of I think the ABL and college and all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of young guys running around. So it kind of is. Maybe not as strong, but also it's kind of good to see some of these young kids performing in that level.
Yeah, you need that mix, really. It's great to see young kids come through, but throwing in the veteran head, and I suppose a lot just aren't around anymore, are they?
No, that's one of the big things. They are not around, and especially Cronulla. We were talking the other day. There's just some of the, and you would have played against some of those good guys in Cronulla when they were at their peak, and we just don't even have those guys around. I spoke to actually ran into Jared Mangione the other day, and he's going to come down and help us out of training a little bit. He had a bit of a chat to him, so just having him around will be a good help. And just trying to get some of those old. I spoke to Cav, just trying to get some of those old guys back and around the club and coming down to games and stuff, just to build that club atmosphere, I guess. And as you and I know, Dave, when we had that at Marlins, it was great, but then we sort of lost that a lot with guys just stopped wanting to come back, and everyone sort of got busy and all those sorts of things. So. But having older heads is definitely important. You can have all the young kids you like, but if you don't have those older heads to just, I guess pull them into line a little bit, and also to kind of nurture them a little bit when things are going bad, or if shit's about to hit the fan, they could just sort of slow the game down a little bit and just put it back into control. And it was funny kind of listening to Cambo and Blake Cavill the other day when we were playing. We scored 3 or something against Greater Western, gave up an 8th spot in the first. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're all just hits. So hit up the middle. So it wasn't errors or anything. And then, but those guys just say, all right, boys, let's just keep working, keep tackling away. And eventually we got it back and ended up winning, I think, 10-9 or something like that. So it was a bit of a slugfest, but it was, those guys, you don't need that. If you don't have those guys around that situation, the young guys just kind of, lose the plot and the game's over.
Yep.
For sure. Now, with Marlins, mate, was that a bit of the case? The old head sort of went away and not many young kids coming through. Was the numbers just the issue with the Marlins?
Oh, look, mate, that was the last 2 years have probably been, for me, really, really disappointing. I was really gutted 2 years ago when we couldn't get the team in, and last year again. This year, it's just. I guess the problem is we've lost a lot of the older guys. Our biggest problem was that we just lost that middle bracket, the 24, 25-year-olds. We lost a lot of those guys, So eventually the 28, 29-year-old guys are just not going to want to travel anymore. And that's always been Marlon's biggest problem. Guys get to that point where they just don't, I just don't want to go to Sydney twice a week. I don't, the Paddy Marts and those guys who could still be killing it. You watch him play in the Winter League and Summer League, he's crushing balls, in State League he could still be doing the same thing. Even having those guys like Boss, who used to come down, then he's got 25 kids now or whatever, and Mokes, you know what I mean? Like their family life's taken over, and they don't need to play state league anymore. It's not something that's passionate or meaningful for them anymore. So, but then we lost. I think we've got 12 or 13 guys over playing college ball at the moment, and that's a big task. As soon as you have that many guys out, it really throws you in the picture, which is great. The fact that we've developed them all to get over there and want to be over there and do that, but on the flip side, it just really killed us in terms of our numbers. I think COVID was one of the big killers because, especially for the Newcastle guys, for some reason, like the Reeveses and those guys who were doing pretty good in first grade and really starting to shine after come back from university over in the States and stuff, and then we had COVID. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, you know what? We've got better things to do with our Saturdays and Sundays, and I think so. I think COVID was a really big. A big stamp on the Marlins' future. I thought it might have been a great one. Well, guys have had a rest now. They'd be keen to get back into it. But on the flip side, it was just one of those things where a lot of guys just went, I don't need to go back down there anymore. They've got better things to do. And I think it was a real turning point for us. And I mean, we've always struggled to fill third grade. It's always been our Achilles heel. And whenever the competition has third grade, I think Marlins will always struggle. We always were able to do first grade and second grade and under 18s, but 2 years ago we couldn't even get 18s. So this year we would have had 18s in first grade field. We would have been close in second grade, but we weren't even close in third grade. And I don't blame guys. Guys are they can play on the local league and play first grade at a pretty decent level in the local league. For the same or for cheaper costs than playing third grade, and travel on the countryside. So I can get why we just have the third grade, but it's disappointing because for me, and I'm sure Dave could have just Marlins gives kids a vision to where they want to go, whether it's from Central Coast or Newcastle. It gave opportunities for kids to come and go, I want to play there one day. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll have that now for a few years, and our player pool with Newcastle and Central Coast now juniors is just dying. There's just not enough cattle anymore, and so therefore those kids, even if we start to get them, it's going to be a long process to try and build back the numbers, I guess, and start to get more players on the coast. But I think there's lots of reasons. I think the COVID was big. Newcastle hasn't really supported it over the last few years for a number of reasons. There's some guys that drive past to go to Walker and ride because they get influenced that way. And there's other kids that just obviously don't want to travel. And there's we used to get the young kids because their parents are happy to take them down when they're 18s, but as soon as they finish 18s, they're like, no, we don't want to go anymore. So. And Central Coast just don't have the player pool. We used to be able to supplement, a fair chunk of it from Central Coast players, but the last couple of years we just don't have those numbers anymore either. So, I was really devastated. I know a lot of the other guys were. I know Cambo was. I know Buff was. I know the kids, Tristan and Kai, who were both playing for Manly. They were both the guys who want to play first grade didn't want to travel. We all want to play on the coast. It's easier for training, easier for playing. But unfortunately, we just couldn't get enough numbers. So it was a really, really sad day for me because I worked really hard to try and keep the Marlins brand alive and stuff for the young kids coming through, but also just for the guys who were there as well. But we just I don't know I didn't know what the answer was. I don't know how we could find enough players, and we reached out, we spoke to a lot of people, we tried to get more people involved, we tried to get a few guys from Newcastle involved, come down and help out, maybe coach stuff and be involved, but we just couldn't get the commitment from enough guys to make it viable, so had to withdraw, unfortunately.
And we really were Marlins really is one of those clubs that if they got rid of third grade, I think wouldn't be an issue. It's like if you had them all 18s, 2s and 1s, you could probably find the numbers to do that. And I was chatting with Ando about it, and he was saying just sort of how you put that to the league and all that, and they just really just didn't want a bar of it, and they weren't too helpful in a way to try and sort of accommodate to say, hey, we can do this, but we can't do the 3s as well. And what Ando was saying, they just really didn't want to listen.
No, that's exactly right. Ando wrote a letter because he sort of reached out and said, "How can I support?" Because he didn't want to see it die either. He had a passion for it. So did Paul and obviously yourself. And there's lots of guys who had a passion for Marlins and were a valuable asset to Marlins. And Hutto's obviously played for Marlins as well. So there's lots of guys at Newcastle that didn't really want to see it fall, but I think in the big picture, we just can't get third grade, and the league, it's kind of a bit hypocritical because at the moment, Mark Marino is all about trying to build juniors and country areas and kind of saying we've got to support country baseball and stuff like this. But then when we reached out and said, all right, from a state league perspective, we need to keep Marlins in because it's a country area. We need to keep this avenue open. He was pretty much didn't want to really care about it and know about it. So it's kind of, they were quick to make decisions to go. And the state league, it's just too hard for them because they're like, oh, well, what do we do with the other team? They don't see big picture. They see club centric. And unfortunately, that's where the Marlins, we're never going to have enough for third grade. It's just we just don't have enough numbers. But we'd have a pretty competitive first, second, and 18s if the league ever goes that way. So I think that way, if that ever happens, I think Marlins might be able to see the light of day again. But whatever we need 4 grades, I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
Very cool. How about for Cronulla, mate? How are your under 18s? How are they travelling this year?
We're doing good. We've got Jaden's coaching him, so it's his first year sort of really coaching that level, and he's got one of the imports coaching with him, and so I have to kind of sit there and keep him on track. He's a bit like Cav sometimes, where he just it's just that passion, I think he's still a player sometimes when he's coaching, so things go wrong and everything just goes. And I think I was a bit like that when I first started coaching. You play on emotion a little bit, so I've got to kind of just keep trying to really win a little bit during game time. But we're doing really well. We're currently in second or third, I think, and it's pretty tight though. The competition in 18s is really tight this year. Borco and Wright are probably the 2 best teams in terms of overall numbers and who they've got. And then I think that after that, it's a pretty good mix, like MacArthur, Manly, us. There's even Greater Western. We only beat them by 1 the other day. Like they've got some really good young kids in their lineup this year. They've really improved this year. So it's a pretty tight competition. Like it could Canterbury, even we played Canterbury the other day and beat them by 1. They're coming in second last or something. And MacArthur we only beat by 1. They're coming last. And they've got 4 state and 2 Australian players in their team. So it's pretty tight. Like it could go. Like there's 5 games to go. So it could go anyway. We've just got to try and. We're going to try and win, I think, 3 more to secure ourselves in the top 4. And then after that, I think it's going to be I think the final series will be really good, actually. The 18s competition, there's got some really good talented kids in there this year.
Awesome. How about your Wednesday nights, mate? Have you got a Wednesday night low arm specialist in your Cronulla team?
No, mate. Do you want to run again? Do you want to run again, mate? We need some pictures. You might be a bit late to register, but if you get your bullpens in, mate, I'll get you next year. We don't actually. The moment we're really struggling. We've had to unearth a few kids actually this year. We've got a couple of guys who have just come out of 18s the last few years, and The Parker brothers, they've done a really good job for us coming out of the pen, and they've been like surprisingly, for me, my surprise packet. Like they've just been really reliable. They just compete, they find a way, and they're not overpowering. They haven't got great stuff, but they compete and they get on the mound and they just get after it. And they've sort of kept us in a lot of games without very light pitching staff. One of our imports was supposed to come out and our centre fielder Mikey, who's a really good player. He was supposed to be kind of a pitcher as well, but he's only really thrown a couple of years because his arm's been a bit sore and he's been a bit sceptical about pitching a little bit. So we've really scuffled in terms of who we use on the mound. In our midweeks, we've used a few of our other 18s kids, and we've scrapped around with a few guys here and there. But that's probably we haven't really had that guy. And I was hoping on Brooke being getting some of those innings in, but as I said, he's been injured and stuff. So and Alex Brooks, who was our other guy who we thought was going to be one of our guys, he's pulled up sore too. So we've had Wilco for a few midweek starts, so he sort of gives us away, gave 1 or 2 innings, and then obviously that's it for him because of the ABL. So we really have struggled Wednesday nights, but it's given up other guys opportunities. And it's really good to see some of the progress of some of these guys who aren't really pitchers, but have jumped on the mound and got it done for us.
It's always good to have those juniors able to throw a few innings and I guess bleed them into first grade as well. It's always a great opportunity for them on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, so it's really grey area though. I think, and I did a lot with Marlins too, where you put some young kids in, and all of a sudden it can backfire a little bit. Like Parker Robertson, for example, he was going great, and we used him a bit in first grade, thinking he'd be able to cope, and then he just got shelled quite a bit, and I think he just lost all his confidence on the mound. So turned to here, he's hitting really good now actually, but which is probably a blessing in disguise in some respects. Like he's really hit the ball well, but I think sometimes by putting him in too early, it can certainly have the adverse effect too. So I'm sort of a bit more cautious of that these days, of trying to work out, and try not to overthrow guys too. I know, with you and Glenn Merritt, all those guys, we sort of just throw you out there, say, just keep going so your arm falls off kind of thing. But obviously with young guys, we're a little bit more cautious of that. So we have to be a little bit wary of how many they're throwing and how many innings they're throwing if they're throwing on the weekends, and sort of manage that a little bit. But we've got a couple of really good young kids in Cronulla, and we've given them opportunities. And sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been bad. But it's all that learning curve. And I think so for me, I'm just trying to monitor, not making them feel too much about the fact that they're getting shelled every week, or it's just a learning curve. But also trying to get them to get some games in ADs too, so they can feel confident about the fact that they can compete with their own age group and stuff like that too. We've got a young 16-year-old who's been pretty good for us, but same thing, he's still learning how to pitch and dealing with the failures and all that sort of stuff, because kids don't like to fail very often. They're not used to it. So when they do, it's a big eye-opener for them. So I think that's probably the thing that I guess I'm sort of learning still as a head coach, is how to actually manage that, the give them the blood, make sure we've got enough pitching to compete, but also trying to be wary of allowing the kids to grow at the right time and not push them into something that could I guess affect their overall well-being and health as a pitcher.
Need the slow veterans there, mate. So I don't know, you might be a chance. Worked well for Ando, like Ando just lobbing him in there under the lights just to mix him up a bit.
I did better come back last year for Marlins, but he just wouldn't do it. I'm like, I think it would take him. You have his plan for 6 months prior to pitching again. I think he probably needs at least 3 years now to get himself back and ready.
It might affect his golf too much. Yeah,
that's right. So I did try and beg brother the other day, try to get him back for Marlins too, and he was tempted till he got hurt. So we just I think we've just, there's not a lot of pitching in the country at the moment, compared to what we used to have. So I think that trying to find some guys, and especially if you've got some decent ones, you definitely want to look after them.
For sure.
Hutto, you're a chance.
Mate, I don't reckon I can make the plate anymore.
That might have been a bit my fault, Hutto. I'm sorry about that.
Maybe also triathlon either before or after the games.
Oh, yeah, that was that's actually one of my greatest memories, Hutto. I think we've talked about this before, but I remember we were playing at where was it? It was an Auburn game. We were playing at Fairfield. We were playing at Fairfield, and and Hutto was running late. And I'm like, where is he? Yeah, what's going on? He's got a pitch in like half an hour. Anyway, Hutto comes flying in with like half an hour to go. And I'm like, where you been, mate? He goes, oh, sorry, man. My Iron Man took me a little bit longer than I expected. But I'll be good. I'll be ready to go. I think he went out and threw 7 innings or something that day, but I still used to just marvel in the fact that he just ran out and did an Iron Man before he pitched and still was able to compete for 7 innings. So, they were the days, right, Hutto?
They were a few years ago, mate.
The dream is still alive, Hutto. The dream's still alive, mate. Joey Mitchell's taken up your mantle, actually. Yeah. So all winter he was doing the same thing. He's going and doing a marathon, and then turning up the next day and playing second grade and first grade at Toronto. So,
yeah, beauty.
You know, he's no spring chicken either, old Joey Mitchell. So.
No, he played first grade foreman for a while too. So he wasn't doing marathons back then, though. So
no.
I guarantee the Toronto Tigers third grade team this year, Randall, there'll be no marathons before that.
Mate, the only marathon the coach will be giving you to do is a drinking marathon. So I'll give you the hot tip.
Thanks for joining us, Shaun. We wish you good luck for the rest of the year, mate. We'll be keeping our eyes out. Only 5 weeks to go in the comp. Obviously, finals time should be good. Yeah, mate, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks, mate. I've been really enjoying. Yeah, the one thing I'll just add too is really heavily involved with this junior stuff at the moment with Cav and the lots of stuff. We got away to America this year with that. Was amazing. Getting to go with my son and play for Australia coach to coach was really great. But the vision of having kids play more baseball, where we're in the process of working with Newcastle at the moment to try and work out how Central Coast and Newcastle can join together and create more opportunities for kids and give more chance for, I guess, competitiveness. So I hope that turns out to be a positive and not we can get through all of the politics stuff of Newcastle versus Central Coast. It's pretty tough at the moment because it's at the moment it's all about Newcastle, but I'm thinking hopefully it's going to be a collaborative approach and we'll grow the game and hopefully one day we'll be back at Marlins and having really Newcastle Central Coast working together to create a really good product.
Yeah. I did see actually during the week there was something that came out on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
About the juniors. I know my young bloke is in the under 12s, 100 Academy of Sport, so they call it. And the call had been put out for if you want to try out for that comp, blah blah blah. And I personally had a look around and went, well, I don't know how Newcastle send away a team of 13, 14, 15 kids that could even be competitive. So when them saying that they can they're looking at joining with the Central Coast, hopefully that can really build some of that competitiveness and get the kids playing. Because we went away for the Country Carnival in October, and under 12s was Illawarra and Newcastle. That was it. It was really disappointing to see just from when I was a kid, and probably you guys the same, and you go away and Newcastle had 2 teams in every age group. Central Coast had 2 teams every age group. You had Wagga, Far North Coast, Mid North Coast.
Yeah.
Tamworth.
Tamworth, Coffs.
And that's where country baseball is at the moment. We just don't have the playing pool of the numbers. So whatever we can do to try and bolster that and bring everyone under the same umbrella and get it better and get more kids playing again. Like I said, make baseball fun so more kids want to play again. Hopefully that'll drive the passion to make it better. Because our products aren't great at the moment. Newcastle's product's not great. Central Coast product's not great. And if you want kids to play, you want a good product. I know Davo's kids have gone to cricket and killing it. So, obviously the baseball product wasn't good enough for them. So we've got to do something. We've got to do something to make our products better. So hopefully this might be the step in the right direction.
I hope so. It's quality coaching too that we need. That's something that I do notice. Like, it's people like myself and parents, that I've played my whole life, but still doesn't mean you can coach. But still go out there, and it's a lot of just parents just trying to put their hand up and help out, and the kids are missing out on those finer details and proper technical stuff. Like I look at the under 12s Newcastle competition, and you watch a four balls and then a soft toss. and they just, the catcher, there's no stealing. So the ball goes past the catcher and they stand up, turn around, dawdle back to the net, pick it up, walk back.
Doesn't develop those skills, does it?
It wasn't there when I was a kid. That was, mind you, my teammate that was catching for me was Shaun Smith. But,
that was okay.
Left-handed catcher, in under 12s. But
you made a good go to pitching, huh?
He did. But the quality and the level is just completely different to what it was. And I don't know how do we get it back, but we need it.
Yeah, definitely. I think get more playing time, and that's why what Cavs doing, and what I think New South Wales are kind of jumping on board. There's a lot more baseball being offered out there at the moment, so I think everyone's realised that their kids want to play. It's just a matter of what pathway you want to take and how you want to get there. And for me, it's all about developing the game and giving kids opportunities. And if we can do that, then we're gonna have some success down the future. But it was really eye-opening to see. And I'm sure Cavs talked to you guys about it, but. One of the teams we faced, we went to America. The first guy was throwing 82 at 13 years old. We were lucky. We had our best guy throwing 75. And the majority of the kids over there were throwing 78 to 82. So, it's a long way. We're a long way from that, but we're a chance to be there with some right programs and right people involved. So,
sure. Yeah, 78 to 82. That's by me anyway.
That 32 that you got, Randall, you wouldn't be able.
That's about Hutto. That's about Hutto now, maybe.
Nah.
I wouldn't be able to get the head out on that thing.
The only time I've got about 80 mile an hour is when I'm putting them through the machine.
Well, Davo might still have that with his funky 3/4 thing going on, though.
Mate, me and TP throwing batting practice. You just don't stop throwing.
That's right.
The arm can't sort of wither off if you don't stop throwing. Exactly. That's what I found in cricket. They don't warm up. It's like every time have a few throws and it's told, hey, settle down. It's like, this is nothing. And these blokes are like, just take it easy. And it's like, okay, no worries.
You always found a few extra kilometres though, Hutto, when you were trying to hit someone. That was about it.
Mate, I never on purpose tried to hit anybody, did I?
I don't know. There was a signal from the catcher. That's all I remember.
I don't remember anything.
So that's the catcher. That's not the pitcher. It's pitcher just throwing it where the catcher wanted it.
Did you ever see me shake anybody off, Randall?
No, but I was the catcher. That's the problem.
Oh, right.
You should have been shaking me off. I was guessing.
Fair enough.
I think it was just the big one of these ones, wasn't it?
And that was no, thanks heaps for joining us, mate.
No, appreciate it anytime, and I'm really honoured to be on here, and it's been great having a chat with you guys.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Been a good catch up, Smithy.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was good to have Shaun on, lads, talking a bit of State League Baseball, something we haven't talked about much this year, and also talking about some juniors coming through and what's happening between Newcastle and Central Coast. But it's time to move off baseball. We're gonna go to the NFL. What's going on in the NFL, Randall?
NFL, mate. She wrapped up today. Regular season finished today with, what did we have? We had half a dozen games today, I think.
Yeah.
There were plenty of games on. So now we've got it's all said and done. Division winners for this year. So we've got the AFC East, the Bills 13-3. AFC North, the Bengals 12-4. They pumped the old Ravens today. AFC South, Jaguars, they've taken that out 9-8. The AFC West, Hudson, Chiefs, up there 14-3. Well done. NFC East, the Eagles 14-3. NFC North, the Vikings 13-4. NFC South, the Bucks 8-9. Losing record, and they still took the division. It's a pretty piss poor division, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the NFC West, the 49ers 13-4. So this week we've got our wildcard games. Sunday we've got the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Who do you like?
49ers.
49ers?
Yep.
I think that's unanimous. And then we've also got the Chargers and the Jags. Who do you like?
Jags.
Yeah, no, I'll go the Chargers. Jags are getting there, but I think the Chargers.
Yep, I'm going the Jags as well. Chargers were 10-7 to finish the season. Jags were 9-8. Monday, Dolphins versus the Bills. I think that's going to be a pretty good game, but I think the Bills will run away with it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bills.
The Giants versus the Vikings. So, hands down, I think Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings
Yep.
for me.
Vikings.
Giants haven't really impressed me late in the season.
Died
No.
in the arse the last 4 weeks.
Yep. The rematch from this week, Ravens versus the Bengals. I don't want to hear what you have to
Ooh.
say.
Mate,
I think
I reckon the Ravens will lead in the first 3 quarters and then they'll get beat. What I'm
Mate.
predicting.
Yeah, Bengals for us. Sorry, mate.
no, that's all right. I'm understanding. If Lamar Jackson plays, I'll say the Ravens. If he doesn't play, there's no way they can beat the Bengals. I don't think.
Yeah.
Even if he does play, who knows? He's missed what 6 weeks, 5 weeks or
It's a
something.
big ass comeback after
Yeah.
that time off.
Yep, especially against Burrow, he's playing pretty good. And then Tuesday it gets rounded out with the Cowboys versus the Bucks. What he is like here?
Cowboys, I'm going against the Buccaneers.
Okay,
Yeah. Neither team's been great, but I'll go Cowboys.
Cowboys got a hiding today.
I didn't see that
I
game.
think it was today they played. They got anyway.
They got towed up by the Commanders.
Oh, Commanders it was Washington.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Bucks. I don't think Dak Prescott can lead the Cowboys against Brady. I think that's all it'll be. It'll be that wealth of experience from Brady. I think he'll get them over the line, but that'll be it for the Bucks. They won't get past this after this week. They won't get past the next week.
Yep, that's fair call.
But I don't think Prescott hasn't been very impressive. So
No.
I think Brady will be too much class for him in a big game.
Yep.
That's it for the NFL this week.
Well, we're on the NFL, mate. Just obviously the Jamal Inman situation that happened last week. Pretty big in the game.
Yep.
For those living under a rock and don't know about it, let's go and have a look online. I don't really want to talk too much about it, but I did want to bring it up and say that obviously everybody's hoping that he gets better and makes a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I know he's FaceTimed into team meetings and spoken to guys and whatnot. Now that he's had his breathing tube removed and whatever, I haven't really heard on how his actual health is, but
Yeah,
apparently he took a bit of progress today in what he was talking. But a nice moment happened when the Bills gave the game ball to the team doctor who performed the CPR on the field on him for, what was it, 9 minutes or whatever. So that was a great moment that happened today. It's like one of the game-winning balls just boom straight to the team doctor. So that's a nice moment. And the way the whole league has just sort of closed in around that, like was it the Jaguars game at the end, or the start or the end, both teams came together and took a knee for it. So good scenes.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the game when it all went down, and no one really knew what was going on. I don't know if you guys were watching it or not. I think I sent a few messages to you, but I can't really remember. It was after midday, so I'd had a few drinks. I've been on holidays, but yeah, sort of had that bit of a ring. Like the Americans, they were all like, "Oh, we've never ever seen anything like this before," all that sort of stuff. I guess we have with the whole Phil Hughes sort of situation where we've been exposed to this as Australians watching cricket. It sort of had that bit of vibe where they were all sort of like, "Oh, we really don't know what's going on," and you could sort of tell that there was, sent some shockwaves through the media and through the whole football community and everything like that too.
Yeah, when you see players sort of holding their heads and like
openly crying
and people to the side and, people taking people away from the area, it was pretty hectic. I mean, the sport has seen it before. The two blokes on pardon the interruption, I forget their names all the time, but Wilborn and whatever his name is, but they were talking about it, and they come up with about 8 or 9 different players that it's happened in different sports and things like that. Has happened before, but not in the modern day. So it was
not with the media attention that you get these days.
Yeah,
with social media and everything, everyone with camera phones and just a million angles of it.
Yeah, that's it.
No, it was definitely hectic to see. So, yeah, we don't want to see any more of that going on. That's for sure.
No, that's right. And hope all the best for Demar. But yeah, moving right along.
Yeah, well, while we're just talking about the NFL, mate, like I know that your Ravens are in Randall and the Chiefs are in. Davo, we were talking about this a few podcasts back about, that game where they tied, where they could have got that extra point or whatever.
Yep.
It's cost them. You've picked it.
I picked it, and I picked it from probably week 3 that Washington always miss out on a wild card by half a game or a game. They're that sort of team where they'll go out and get flogged by no one, and then, like today, go out and beat Cowboys convincingly.
Yeah.
It's like the joy of being a Washington supporter.
I reckon it's because they keep changing their name.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
what did it come down to, Davo? They needed Green Bay to win or something, and they had to win, and Green Bay had to win, and somebody else had to lose, and they may have had a chance of sneaking in for a wild card spot or something.
Yeah. Oh, it's something like that every year. Every year it's a different scenario that if 3 or 4 things happen, they're in. But it's like, well, if they just had to beat the Giants instead of that tie, done.
That's it. You take it out of anyone else's hands. You do it yourself, as they always say.
Yep. But that's sport.
It is. All right, Davo, you got some cricket for us? There's been heaps of cricket going on.
A lot of cricket going on. Looks like the Hurricanes are doing it pretty easy against the Stars tonight. They only need 23 off 36 to beat them. Oh, hello. That's a big one into the crowd. So the Stars have been disappointing. The Test series is done and dusted for summer. Convincing win over South Africa. It's a shame there was a bit of rain around for the Sydney Test. I know they're whinging about, I should move the Sydney Test because the number of days lost, and they put up a stat as to how many days lost compared to Brisbane and Perth and all that. Compare how many games have been played at Sydney to those other ones, and I'm sure the ratios work out quite even. So I hope they keep it as it is. But it was a good series. South Africa did well to hold on that last day. So I think it showed we're still lacking another spinner. Poor old Agar, he just wasn't up to it. But Travis Head, he stood up well. Labuschagne's always going to say he should be the number 2 spinner. Probably says he should be the number 1 spinner. But I was surprised Warner got player of the series. Fair enough, he got the 200, but that was it. To me, I probably would have given it to Quasha or Travis Head, but we're not the selectors or the people that choose that. We're just the dribblers here on a weeknight. But just a good dominant display. So now some Test stars come back to the Big Bash. Some have a rest. So the women play Pakistan. They've got a couple of one-day games coming up. So we'll have Big Bash, women's, and then we head off to India for our next Test series, which will be a real sort of test in a way for where we're at for that. But looking forward to some of the Test stars coming back for the Big Bash. Scorchers are out in front as usual. They're not really got many Test players coming back, but the Sixers are coming second. They get Steve Smith and Nathan Lyon back. So Lyon and Murphy working together with Socky. That'll work out pretty well for them. But I think Adelaide's the team to watch out for. They're playing pretty good cricket at the moment. And to get back Alex Carey and Travis Head could be the 2 players that send them to the top. So the Thunder, Randall's team, mate, they get bowled out for 15. and now they're coming third, I think.
Yeah, the loss last night dropped them back to third.
Yep, and they've got Warner and Uzi back for them.
Actually, I was having a look today. Usman is actually going to Brisbane.
He's gone to Brisbane.
Yes, so him and Marnus and Matt Renshaw are all back for Brisbane.
Okay, they need the help. I don't know if it'll help them that much. But yeah, so Thunder, they've been playing all right. They didn't last night in the Sydney Smash. Good to see the Sixers get up. But it's been a pretty good even comp. I'm disappointed with Melbourne. Like normally they go pretty well. They've always been up there, but
I think the Renegades are in fourth or something, aren't they? Or third? Yep. They're up there as well. So the Renegades are up there. Going okay.
So the top five is close when you've got the Scorchers, the Sixers, the Thunder, Renegades, and Strikers there. And then Hurricanes can turn it on like they have tonight. So it should make for an interesting last few games.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look, Davo, at these players that are coming back in. I think it's going to be more about the players that are gone. Just having a look there.
The Pommy guys are gone.
So the Thunder are losing or have lost Alex Hales and Riley Rousseau.
Yep.
The Sixers lost James Vince, Chris Jordan, and Naveen Al-Hokmarid.
Yep. No, lost
Say
really.
that again?
I can't. The Strikers, I think that's going to hurt them. They've lost Chris Lynn and Rashid Khan. So
where's Chris Lynn gone? Because
I have no idea. But that's what it's telling me right here on the website, that Chris Lynn and Rashid Khan are exits.
Yeah, and I think Bolt leaving Stars as well.
Bolt leaves the Stars. Brisbane Heat lose Sam Billings and Colin Munro.
Yep.
The Scorchers are losing Adam Liff and Faf Duplessis.
Which Faf hasn't done a great deal for him. He's been a bit of a bust for them, actually. Like, world-class player, maybe just out of a bit of form, but hasn't set the world on fire.
No, probably hasn't had enough game time recently either. The Renegades lose Majib. And the Hurricanes, they lose Jimmy Neesham and Shadab Khan. So there's quite a few players, and it's a lot of the internationals that are all gone. So I'd be interested to see if they've got other internationals coming in to replace them or not, or what the rules are there. But coming back, you've got the Sixers, like you said, Lyon and Smith.
Because there's Vince and Najim sort of taken care of.
Yep. And then you've got the Heat, Labuschagne, Khawaja, and Renshaw. So Renshaw only missed the games during the Sydney Test anyway.
Yeah.
He was already in the side. But he'll replace. I guess they both replace Sam Billings and Colin Munro.
Yep.
Which is all right. Well, the Thunder get Warner, but they've lost Hales and Riley Rousseau. Riley Rousseau, I think he's had one good innings.
Yeah.
Hales, well, you just never know what he's going to do you?
And it'll be the same with Warner.
Yep.
You never know what he's going to do. So it's same for same there.
Yep. And then the Strikers, that getting back Carey and Head's a massive, massive boost for them. But yeah, Chris Lynn, that's a big loss, and so is Rashid Khan.
I think Khan's a bigger loss than Lynn. Lynn's been very hot and cold, but I think the way Carey and Head have been playing, that I'd take those.
Don't they?
Yeah, I'd take those two, and they can win a game for you. Like, I know Chris Lynn can set the world on fire with his fast-paced and big hitting, but so can Travis Head. Like, it's surprising how good a 2020 player he is. But Khan, he'll be the big loss for them, being the good spinner he is.
Yeah, I think over the years, I think people, especially the batsmen in Australia in the Big Bash, have gotten better at playing him.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the wickets that he used to when he was that mystery spinner. Like, I still don't think they pick him, but they just seem to play him a lot better. They just noodle him around a little bit, and don't let him take wickets.
Just want to see him off, and that's what most teams have done. Like, he's not taking the wickets, but he's occupying an end, getting quite a few dot balls, and sort of, if that's in a power play or something, that makes a world of difference. But you're right, they're watching more video. They're trying to pick more out of the hand. They're seeing more. I say there's more Big Bash games going on. So it's like any sport. You see an opposition player more and more, you're gonna get used to them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
For sure. I
But bring it on. Bring on more cricket.
enjoyed watching those couple of games over the last sort of few days. I haven't watched a whole heap this season, so it's good to sort of catch up a bit and see it.
The quality has been good in the Big Bash this year.
Except for that innings where there was the 15 runs or whatever, but I didn't watch that game, so I don't care. But
I did.
Been good.
Great. It was a great game.
I watched it too.
Imagine being there.
When they came out and scored 200 and something a week or two later, that was different. That was okay.
Yeah.
But the standard of fielding, though, is gone up so much just in Australian cricket, like in the test team in the Big Bash, like we're setting standards that other countries are just lagging behind. Like I watched some of the New Zealand Pakistan test, and while it was a great test and came right down to the wire, again, they just fall short of where the fielding standards. Yeah. So it's great to see.
Talking about fielding, Davo, could be the wine of the week, actually. But the catch.
That's a 6. Sorry.
How the hell can that be a legit thing that you throw the ball up in the air, stand on the other side out of play, jump up in the air and paddle it back and then run back in?
Yep.
Like, you're kidding, aren't you? But catching, you can't catch and carry. You make a diving catch and slide on the ground and slide into the rope or land on top of the rope, and no, that's 6 or that's 4. Like, what a absolute load of horseshit.
Yeah, they need to look at that rule. It's an absolute joke. And I go back to saying it, push the boundaries back out. They're trying to make it for the fans and for the hitters to hit 6s by pushing the boundaries in that far. If you've got the boundary out about 4 feet from the fence, so you provide that safety for fielders, but it stops things like that. And I'm sorry, I get the ones where if you catch it, you've gone over, thrown it back up, jumped straight back in the field of play and caught it. I'm all for that. But when
you can't leave the field, you can't leave from out of the field of play and touch the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm old school. Bring back the white picket fence.
And you can lean on it or whatever. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But in saying that,
beers thrown at them, all the abuse. And they can't make that 6 thing happen.
The interesting thing is with the way that rule is, I don't understand why you got players that stand there at the rope and try to make a big jumping catch and fall backwards over the rope. Start 5 meters behind the rope. After the ball's hit, step back over the rope, run in and jump. And then you land, you're still getting your jump in, but your momentum's going forward instead of going backwards. It's no different, is it? You're in the air when you touch the ball, and when you touch the ground with the ball, you're in the field of play. So technically that should be out.
On the field of play, though?
Well, they would be on the field, but once the ball's been hit, they could step back over the rope and then run in.
Yeah.
First contact has to be inside the field of play.
Yeah.
But
right. So right.
So for it to be deemed a fair catch, you have to, the first contact has to be within the field of play.
Okay, so you can't have stepped back outside of the rope and run in from outside. You need to have been inside the rope, batted it up or thrown it up.
Yeah.
Then you can go outside and you can do your little jump parry or whatever you want to call it. What's easy, isn't it? You just change it.
Throw the ropes out.
That.
Yeah.
Can't have it.
That could be a whole episode. That could be a whole episode itself.
Let's leave the cricket there because that was brutal. Watching that.
Oh, mate. It was. And it just pissed me off. Just sitting there watching go, that is not out.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah.
Right. ABL, I'm just gonna go with the standings. We're running out of time, I think, fellas. Big shout out to Big Boss, 300th game on the weekend. Congratulations, mate. Massive.
Well, Bossy.
Adelaide Giants are 20-12. The Heat are 18-14. Melbourne Aces behind them, tied with Geelong Korea with 12-19. On the other division, the Northeast Division, the Brisbane Bandits are 25-7. They are way out in front.
They've
Auckland-
clinched. They've
Yeah.
clinched their
Yeah.
playoff spot. They're that
Yeah.
far in front.
Yeah, smashed it. Now, this is a good battle. Auckland and Canberra are 14-16. So, obviously, we've got a few friends that are playing with Canberra. So, good luck to them. But I think the Auckland are going to do them over.
They got washed out against each other over the weekend, didn't they? They only got two games in
2 games, I think they got
out
in.
of 4.
Yeah.
Mind you, Canberra have got the Blue Sox coming up, I think. So,
Yeah. Well, they've got them last round, definitely.
what is it? 2 weeks left, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Going
or
into
3
round
weeks.
9. So, I think there's 10
Yeah.
rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Blue Sox are 10-22, so they're not going to be able to make it. Yeah, I only watched a little bit over the weekend. Watched a good game with Canberra, where they won 3-2. It was a quality game. Do you guys see any of the baseball?
I was watching cricket, mate.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well,
Same
I
thing.
was watching the rain. Sorry.
Yeah, fair call. The only other couple of things I want to bring up before we go. I know we're running out of time. Aussie Open's coming up, starts I think next Monday. The qualifier series is on right now. So that'll be good for the tennis fans. It's always good to watch the Aussie Open. I'll always flick it on at night. Maybe we're gonna have to have 2 TVs running, bit of cricket, bit of tennis. But you fellas follow the tennis when it's on for the Aussie Open?
Yeah, I watch it every so often. Like you say, it's on, so it's good to watch. It's prime time at night.
Yeah.
You just flick it on depending on who's playing, and
Yeah.
Same. It's just whatever's on's on.
Yeah.
If there's an Aussie playing, I'll generally flick it on and keep track. But bit like the World Cup for me, I just sort of throw it on. So
Watch the final.
there's something on. Watch the final.
Yeah.
I watch a little bit.
The only other one I want to bring up, guys, is Carlos Correa. Is he going to be a Met? What's he doing?
back to the
I don't
Twins.
know. I don't know. I don't know if he is. Is he? They keep saying like talks are breaking down.
Yeah. So 2 days ago, they said the talks are breaking down. When was it? January 6th. Mets reportedly consider walking away from Correa. And then January 8th, Mets still most likely a landing spot for Correa. So there's still talks and things going on. It is crazy. So first of all, with the Giants, when the Giants walked away from him, everyone's gone into a frenzy saying, "Oh, it's unheard of." Now with the Mets, I don't know. What's your thoughts? Is he going to end up at the Mets?
I don't know. I guess we just don't know what's going on, do you? Really, like what's happening behind the scenes? There seems to be some sort of stalemate between them for some reason, and it keeps coming up. Oh, they're not happy with the information they're being provided about, his medical records and this and that. So who knows?
I think he will, but it will only be maybe 7 to 8 years and quite a bit less money.
Yeah. I think there might be some clauses around him actually playing in the later years as well. And
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, look,
he's been healthy. This happened in his minor league playing days. So, I mean, he's been healthy his whole career.
Only takes one slide.
It does, but if he's confident that there's not a problem, and they're worried so much, why not just put the clause in there saying that if there is an injury sustained, regarding whatever had happened, whatever these previous existing injury was, then there should be an opt-out clause for the club.
Yeah.
If it's if it's not that big of a deal, then he should be able to happily sign a piece of paper and say, "Yep, part of my contract will be if that existing injury causes long-term damage or inability for me to fulfill my contract and play, then my contract's forfeit."
Yeah.
That could be the wording they're working on at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, fellas. Have a good week. And we'll catch up at some stage next week.
Yeah. Shout out to those guys from the under 16s and under 18s, Australian youth champs for baseball, Blacktown this weekend. Go well, guys. All the guys from Newcastle, the Central Coast that we've talked about, especially our Toronto Tiger, Benny Frost, mate. Go well.
On you, Benny.
Yeah, so good luck to those guys over the coming 8 days, I think it is.
Yep. That's awesome. Good luck, guys, and good luck to your young ones, Davo, heading up to Singleton.
Thingo.
Yeah, good luck,
Hopefully
Central
it's like
Coast.
400 degrees.
31, 32. So that's
Beautiful.
quite nice for Singleton.
I should be home every arvo, Davo, if you need to stop in for a beer on your way back home, mate.
No, the missus and Ella, they're staying up there for the 3 nights. So, but I'll travel up Thursday night and then watch the last day. So hopefully should be some good cricket.
Beautiful.
So is that Friday, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I work from home on a Friday, so whatever time you're heading past, the beers are on.
Sounds good.
All right, fellas.
It's right on the way, so.
It is. It is. All right. No worries. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, catch you guys.
See you, fellas.